So those are the nuanced cases where you do share the information more transparently to funds. Now, I know I just said that you should never tell VCs what other VCs you're talking to. There are a couple of exceptions to this rule in our process. The first one is when you have a bunch of terms and you actually wanna close the round and you've decided who you want your lead to be. In this case, you can have a more open discussion where you essentially go to the lead that you really like and say stuff like, hey, we really want to work with you guys. Let's work out the round. But I need you to get to this valuation, or the valuation that you set up is fine, but I need to make room for all these, for these two other funds. And I want to structure the round in a way that I get help from multiple funds. So I may need you to drop your allocation a little bit, or I may need you to increase the valuation a little bit, or just make room for other folks. You want to have those discussions, but you might want to have them from a place of strength, right? That's why it's so important to get multiple offers, because you can craft the round in a way that may work for the lead, but also works for you. Now, if you don't have leverage, it's way harder to have these negotiations and you just take like the better terms. But let's say, as an example, you're raising, I don't know, 4 million at 20. And there's this fund that you like that wants to take the whole round. But you do not want to be fully dependent on this one VC, because further down the line, if they're not in love with your business or somehow the thing is misaligned, you'll kind of be in their hands, sort of screwed, if they don't want to do a pro rata, or they don't provide great signaling, or they just don't help out. So let's say you want two funds. And then essentially you would want to have a discussion and say, hey, we want to build the round with you, but we want to craft a round where we have at least two funds. And we have other offers. We'd much rather work with you, but we need to make room for another fund. And they may drop to 15, hopefully to 12. And you can have a discussion, sophisticated discussion around, in this round, you'll get to 12%, but then in the next round, you can get to the target 15% stake that you like. These are very nuanced discussions that you should definitely consult with people that have done this a lot and know what they're doing. But you can have that discussion and share a little bit more after you have terms. Like the second situation where you do want to share who you're talking to is when you already have VCs that are your investors and you're leveraging them and crafting your fundraising strategy or crafting your round with them, and you tell them what are the other funds. That's perfectly fine. And the last case where you can most definitely share the information is when you're talking to angels. You can be sensitive about the fact that you don't want them to share the information that you provide, but angels can provide a ton of feedback and great thinking when you share this information on what funds you're talking to and what strategy you're pursuing. So those are the nuanced cases where you do share the information more transparently to funds.